Hey everyone, Mo here, and before the video begins, I just want to let you guys know that my schedule has opened up for me to do coaching again. So if you're interested in private one-on-one coaching for me to help you, whether you're a newer player and you want to excel at the game very quickly and learn the fundamentals without developing any bad habits early, or if you're an experienced player who's already maybe platinum or diamond in your top 1%, but you need some help filling in the gap to get you to that 0.01%, to make you just some of the best, then hit me up on Discord and I can get you in some private one-on-one coaching lessons to help you polish up any skills you want to refine and help you learn all of the secrets to becoming a top player. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys the last Meta Monday of the season. I'm not going to be doing a Meta Monday next week because it is going to be the new expansion. So we're getting a bunch of new cards next week. So even if I did do a Meta Monday, it'd really only be valid for, I think, like the Monday and the Tuesday I released it. Because, you know, Wednesday is when we get all the new cards and the new season, new expansion, all that type of stuff. So this is the last Meta Monday of the season. I'm going to go over the top 8 most played decks. So that way, if you guys are trying to grind for Masters or try and get another ranking before the season ends, you can use this information to try and pick the best deck and to try to prepare and get yourself to whatever your goal is. So before we get into the Meta Monday, I wanted to remind you guys that 72% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to me. So if you guys could do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button, that'd help me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And then comment down below what type of videos you like seeing from me. I know people love these Meta Mondays. Let me know if you guys are excited for the new set. What champion do you wish is in the new set? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's get into the Meta Monday. So, the most played deck this week has been Mono Shirima, or sorry, not Mono Shirima, has been Mono Viego, been Shirima Shadow Isles, and it's basically just you play only Viego, you play things like Rite of Calling, Glimpse Beyond, stuff like that. You play a bunch of ways to make your Viego really big. This is really good into Pantheon because Pantheon decks literally cannot kill Viego once it gets big enough. You play Vengeances to have hard removal for the Pantheon or, you know, whatever big unit your opponent has. You have Rite of Negation for the Concerted Strike. You have Quicksand to remove keywords. And once you level up the Viego, you really can just kind of dominate your opponent. If the Pantheon is the biggest unit they own, it kills it. If their biggest unit they own is just a really big dragon, well, you take it. So they can't attack you with it. And then you can block their Pantheon. You block their second biggest thing with their biggest thing. And then now you're just kind of, you know, getting infinite blocks in. Your opponent can't really attack you, and it's a really free matchup. On top of that, this deck does really well into control because you do play 2 Rite of Negations here, and it's really hard for decks to deal with these really large units like the Viego and the really big miss that you'll get every turn off of Hydrovine. So your opponent typically has to commit a Vengeance, and then you have things like Ancient Hourglass. Okay, I just negated your Vengeance. If they have another Vengeance or something, well, you have like actual Rite of Negation to negate the Vengeance or the Ruination or something like that. Once they finally play their Feel the Rush or their largest, once they play Feel the Rush, their champions are the largest unit and you have a leveled Viego, they just die. If they play like another 10-10 or something, you just get a free 10-10 and you steal their unit. Because control decks are known for just playing really large units. So you get to steal those for free, get really big attacks in. If their champions are the biggest things, you kill those for free, and it's really, really good matchup. You play a lot of threats with like Hydrovine creating multiple units. Playing like Caramel Soldier here gives you 2 really good threats for the price of 1. You have a lot of card draw with things like Spirit Leech, Glimpse Beyond. So it's really hard for your opponent to ever actually kill you. And the Mono Viego archetype here, it's really safe thanks to things like the Hourglass and the Rite of Negations. Number 2, second most played deck, is the Pantheon deck. So Faded, still extremely broken. I recently put out a video on Faded. It's really, really good. The Faded keyword is super broken. People hate how big things get with the new play change with the cast play, where just targeting your unit with something like the Cataclysm Single Combat or the Zenith Blade now immediately gives your unit stats, made Faded even stronger, and made it a complete bitch to deal with. Fortunately, we see that, you know, Mono Viego kind of rose up in popularity to single-handedly beat Pantheon, but Pantheon does a really good job at beating anything that's not like a go wide swarm deck or specifically Mono Viego. So Pantheon, not going to talk too much about it because it's a deck we've seen a million times. And that's kind of how this last Meta Monday is going to go, is I'm not going to go too in-depth on every single deck because it's a deck that we've seen. I think we have like a new deck in here, and it's the Fizzofalios deck. Everything else has been seen on Meta Mondays for the past 4 weeks or so, over and over again. So I'll just kind of go over the decks and tell you what matchups they're good into. So we have Taliyah Ziggs. This deck is really good into other into control decks because it's a very strong combo deck. We see some people are even starting to play one Unleash Energy. You saw on your denies, stuff like that. So this deck's going to be really good into things like Feel the Rush, any type of slow style deck. It's really hard for your opponent to actually kill the Ziggs or the Taliyah because you also play things like Hourglass and Deny. The dream is obviously to hope your opponent tries to kill your Taliyah or Ziggs. You go Hourglass, play Taliyah, copy the Hourglass. Next turn, you start up with, 3 champions in play now because you get 2 champions off of the Hourglass because Taliyah can copy the landmark that the Hourglass makes. It copies the Stasis statue. So at the start of turn, you have 2 Stasis statues, they go off. You now have like triple champion attacking. So that mixed with things like Absolver, mixed with like Herald of Magus, having multiple ways to give your champions overwhelm. That's typically how you win, is you just attack with really big overwhelmed Taliyah and or Ziggs. Or if it gets really late game, you have Arsenal to come in with the, elusive scout, stuff like that. Number 4, halfway done, is going to be Feel the Rush. So people are back on the not greedy version. For a long time, people were playing the super greedy version that played like 3 faces of the old one. Sometimes 1 weirding stones. They're on like a couple of voices of the, or sorry, what was this? Faces of the old one and then voices of the old one. So we're back now and we're on like 0 whales, stuff like that. So we're back on 2 whales, 5, still only 2 avalanche here, 3 blighter ravine. I've seen some people play like a box. So we're still back on the more anti-aggro plan because people quickly realize that you lose to pirates really hard if you don't have a way to protect from the open attack with the Withering Whale or something of that nature. So Whale has been extremely important, has come back, been a little bit less greedy of a list, but overall it's still a very combo heavy list. Any deck that's playing Faces of the Old One is a very ramp heavy, combo heavy style deck list. So you should still get punished by aggro, but adding in a couple of whales makes you get punished less often. Or you at least have, some outs to punish and completely blow out certain aggro decks. Next is Pirates. Pirates has been really dominant. People have now gone to 2 TF1 Gangplank. Some people are even playing 3 Twisted Fate. I personally am playing 3 Twisted Fate. I think 3 Twisted Fate is good. Overall, the list hasn't changed much. The only thing that's changed is your spells. Some people are on triple Make It Rain. Some are on double Make It Rain Decisive Maneuver. Some are on 0 Make It Rain. Add in some extra, the Precious Pets, the 1 mana 2/1 Fearsome Attacker. So it really comes down to, do you want the 2/1 Fearsome Attacker or do you want the Make It Rains? I personally right now am playing Make It Rains because I'm preparing for the mirror match. That's also why I'm on 3 Twisted Fate, because threatening a Twisted Fate red card on 4 is really important in the mirror match, as well as having Twisted Fate gold card against any mid-range deck is extremely important as well. That's also why I like to Make It Rain for in the mirror match. If your opponent opens with like Saboteur's Fearsome Spider, you just go Make It Rain. Also, Make It Rain is really good into any Shirima deck because most of the time their turn 2 is going to be a the Sandhopper or Rockhopper. So they're going to go like, their best curve is 1 mana 2/1, 2 mana 3/1, and you just go Make It Rain. I 2-for-1'd you and did 1 damage to your face. So Make It Rain is really good in those matchups. So I personally like the triple Make It Rain. I don't play Decisive Maneuver. I'm on triple Make It Rain here. It makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm also on triple Twisted Fate. But Pirates, very good at getting very quick games in, beating bad decks, beating a lot of good decks. Mostly you want to play this if you just want to get really quick games in. If you have a long ways you want to climb and maybe you don't have as much time to put in, then Pirates is definitely going to be your go-to deck. Number 6, Aphelios. If you want just to play the best deck, Aphelios is it. This is by far the best deck in the game in the moment. You have so many gimmicks going on with this deck that it's really hard to attack from the opponent's point of view. Your opponent's like, okay, I can keep a mulligan that's good into like elusive cheese, and you're like, okay, well, I'm 6 wide on turn 4 or turn 3, So it's like, okay, well, you're 6 wide on turn 3 or turn 4. How do I actually deal with that? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep a hand that's really good against, swarm style decks. And you're like, okay, well, this game I'm actually not a swarm style deck. I'm actually just going to be an elusive deck with Rainbow Fish. and or I'm going to be a papercraft deck with giving my Fizz, double attack cheese, stuff like that. And of course, you're in Bandle City, so you have all the Bandle RNG generation bullshit from Conchologist, from Phase Sprouts, from Trinket Trade. Like, you're just on so much RNG bullshit that it's everything people hate in Bandle. You're also playing, the one wallop to help you in either the mirror match or some other mid-range style deck. You don't have to worry about getting smacked up by, like an overwhelmed Taliyah, for instance. You can just wallop, stun it. As well as the chance to create wallops off of things like Trinket Trade and Conchologist. You have anti-aggro tools because you're super swarmy, so you can print out a bunch of these like Hungry Owl Cats and just have a bunch of cheap units trade and then just get really big elusives and kind of outrace your opponent. You also have anti-aggro tools with Phase Sprout where you can get, 3 mana was like a 5-4 or 3 mana 5-3 lifesteal unit. Like, kind of crazy. You have anti-aggro tools with Group Shot. You have, again, the wallet for the mid-range decks, the Pantheons, the stuff like that. You can usually have your own elusive blocker if you need one because you play, a couple Rainbow Fish. So, yeah, Aphelios is definitely the best deck in the game. And it's what a lot of top players are using to climb right now. Number 7, almost at the end, is Mono Shirima. Mono Shirima's taken a huge hit in play rate since the nerf. I think it's still really good. Again, with Clockwork Curator, you can still combo off here on turn 6. You can still nut out and have like your combos on turn 6. But most of the time you're doing it on turn 7 or turn 8 now consistently. And the deck is still very solid. Still a very solid anti-control deck. Any type of control deck out there, Mono Shirima beats it. However, because you don't have the nutty draw of, oh, turn 6, I win the game, a lot of aggro decks, that 1 to 2 turns is giving a lot of aggro decks the 1 to 2 turns they needed to actually beat you. Things like Echo Zillion really needed just like one more turn to be able to chrono break against you before you get, tier 3 Zerat, which negates chrono break altogether. Well, now Echo Zillion have that 1 extra turn. Pirates needed like 1 extra turn or 1 more attack to get in with, a Zap Spray Fin or 1 more turn to try and top deck burn or something, and they now have that. Scouts has 1 more turn to actually attack and level up their Quinn and stuff like that. And it's like they actually have that now. So a lot of these actual counters to Azir Zerat are coming into play, and we're seeing them be counters because they now have that extra 1 to 2 turns they needed previously to actually beat Azir Zerat. That's really nice to see. It was a really good change because it still beats everything it needs to beat. We see here it's an 84% win rate against Darkness over like 100 plus, 135 matches. So we see here that it's still really good into all of these control style decks. But we see over here, it's starting to actually lose to these aggro decks. Like it's losing to Pirates, losing to Discard Aggro, losing to Azir Aurelia Pirates, stuff like that, because it's not getting those super nut games where it's like old Kin and Go Hard, where Kin and Ari Go Hard would lose to aggro most of the time, but sometimes you would just have like, Go Hard on 1, Go Hard on 2, and you would win the game, right? What this is doing is this is eliminating the chance of that high roll happening of say, oh, I just won the game on turn 6, you can't do anything about it, to saying, okay, now my and it's not even a high roll, that was more of just an average. So now it's saying on average I'm winning the game on turn 7 or turn 8, but again, that 1 to 2 turns is very, very important for these aggro decks and these counter decks to actually beat Mono Shirima. And the last thing here is Caitlyn Ezreal. I don't really know why people are playing this deck. This deck sucks. Yeah, this deck sucks. It beats like aggro decks sometimes. If you look at the best matchups, they're all just like troll decks. Like, okay, you beat Misfortune Katarina, Galio Udyr, like Ezreal Victor. The first time you beat a real deck is Karma Victor. You still lose to like a lot of the aggro decks. You lose to, any type of Freljord ramp deck. You're going to lose to aggro decks because they're just going to burn you out. They're just going to say, okay, play my 1-drop, play my 2-drop. If you ever take unit damage against an aggro deck, you lose because they end the game by just going Decimate, Decimate, Fervor. And you probably can't deal with all of that burn because that right there is like 11 points of burn damage. So if at any point you take unit damage while playing Caitlyn Ezreal against any type of aggro or burn style deck, you're probably losing the game. So I don't really know why people are playing Caitlyn Ezreal. I would just replace that with like Scouts, honestly. And like Scouts is being played to beat a lot of the control decks. It's played to beat some of the kind of aggro decks that don't have removal for Misfortune, stuff like that. So I'm more on the Scouts plan. I'll call this the 8th deck because Caitlyn Ezreal is not a real deck. This deck just
sucks. Also, shout out to Samir Velicki, whoever this guy is. They're tearing it up. They're the best player for 3 of the top 8 decks. That's crazy. This person is all over the leaderboards. Congrats to them. But all right, so that's gonna be it for this Meta Monday, last Meta Monday of the season. Next Monday, what I'll do is I'll just post my thoughts about every card released so far. And then Tuesday, I'll probably be playing all of the cards early, so pretty pog. So go check out my Twitch channel for that. Link will be in the description, twitch.tv/emotional, stream on there all the time. Sub here so you don't miss notification whenever I stream anything. I'll be posting a lot of content whenever the new set comes out. I'll post videos on every single champion, so if you want the best decks for every champion, make sure to sub here, make sure to come back, because I'll have it for you. So that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.